If you've ever felt like your Chaos Knights just die immediately, like you lose two War Dogs early and suddenly the game is over, you're not alone. Chaos Knights feel weak to a lot of players. But after playing only Chaos Knights for over a year, I don't think they're weak at all. I think they're just extremely punishing if you play them like a normal army. In this video, I want to break down why Chaos Knights feel weak, what actually kills them, and how patience and tempo completely change how this army performs. Chaos Knights feel weak because they die really fast when you try to kill the opposing army and score points at the same time. They also have a very low unit count, so losing units early in the game is felt in a big way. Losing one or two War Dogs doesn't just hurt, it can feel catastrophic. Another issue is that it's easy to run out of gas by round 4. You're out of units, your opponent has you surrounded, or you simply don't have enough board presence left to score meaningful points. On top of that, the army rules don't always feel impactful early. If you compare Chaos Knights to armies that spike hard on turn 1 or 2, it can feel like you're always behind. All of this creates the impression that Chaos Knights are fragile or underpowered, but that's not really what's happening. Before the game even starts, you need to identify what units in your opponent's army can actually kill knights. This comes from experience, but also from asking questions. If I'm not familiar with an army or specific units, I will straight up ask before deployment, what do you have that can kill a knight? Some people aren't sure, and that's okay. Getting some information is better than having none. I've played enough games that most of the time I'm just clarifying abilities or weapon profiles to make sure I understand how the threats work. This information usually doesn't change my deployment much, but it tells me what needs to die first. If you can remove the units that can realistically kill knights, your army suddenly becomes much harder to deal with. There's even a point in many games where your knights feel almost unkillable. The hard part is getting there. And that's the key. You want to eliminate those threats with little to no retaliation. We don't want to play a fair game. We want to decide the game in 1 or 2 turns. To do that, you need patience. Our army rule gets better as the game progresses, since you pick 1 or roll for 2 dread abilities on battle rounds 1, 3, and 5. Turn 3 is usually where Chaos Knights start to shine. This is matchup dependent. Against some armies you can push earlier, but especially when you're learning, overextending will lose you games faster than almost anything else. Deployment is also critical. You need to deploy knights safely. Strong if you go first, protected if you go second. Losing a knight on turn 1 because you went second will often lose you the game outright. Screening matters too. With knights, you don't need to screen the entire board, but you do need to screen your knights properly so opponents can't get easy angles or charges. I've already made a full video on screening across Chaos Knight archetypes, so if you want a deeper dive, check that out. Our army rules get progressively stronger as the game goes on. From the dread abilities table, you pick 1 or roll 2 on battle rounds 1, 3, and 5. And that means if you commit on turns 1 or 2, you only have 1 to 2 abilities. If you wait until turn 3, you can have 2 to 4 abilities active. For example, on turn 3, you can guarantee Darkness and Dismay. This means units you don't fully kill take battle shock tests at -1. If they fail, they're -1 to hit you. Now, imagine committing without one of those active. Your opponent suddenly has a much stronger counterpunch. If you're unsure what to choose, Darkness is almost always the best pick. If your opponent has even a single unit that shoots well, I'll usually take Darkness on turn 1. If nothing else stands out later, I'll just roll on turns 3 and 5. While waiting for turn 3, I'm not doing nothing. I'm picking off threats at range, scoring with cultists or demon allies, staging knights behind terrain, threatening large portions of the board without exposing myself. This forces the opponent to either overextend, hold back, or play normally and give me targets. Denying primary points early is huge. If you can keep your opponent scoring only their home objective for the first 2 turns without overextending, it becomes much easier to pull ahead later. And remember, you don't need to show your knights to threaten your opponent. In many cases, hiding them behind terrain is more threatening because your opponent can't interact with them and doesn't know where the hammer is coming from. Chaos Knights don't win by trading units evenly. They win by controlling tempo. Tempo is about who is forced to act, who exposes themselves first, who runs out of meaningful options. If you trade early, you're usually helping your opponent. You're giving them efficient targets and reducing your own board control. Instead, Chaos Knights want to control space, project threat without committing, and force bad decisions. When the opponent finally commits, that's when you strike. A useful way to think about tempo with Chaos Knights is a concept from chess called a fork. A fork is when you put your opponent in a position where they have 2 bad options and they can only deal with one. When you stage knights correctly, you're often not trying to kill anything immediately. You're setting up forks, threatening an objective and a key unit, or forcing your opponent to choose between scoring and survival. If they move to stop you from scoring, they expose themselves. If they protect their units, you take the objective. Either way, Chaos Knights win. Chaos Knights are at their best when they compress the game into 2 devastating turns, not 5 balanced ones. When I review my own losses, this is the question that I always start with. Why did I actually lose this game? Most of the time, I already have an idea by the end, but if I don't, I'll ask my opponent. They often saw something I missed entirely. After your next loss, ask yourself, why did I actually lose this game? Was it deployment, identifying threats, screening, tempo, showing key units too early? Most Chaos Knight losses aren't because the army lacks damage. They happen because impatience gives the opponent perfect shots. I already have videos on army composition and screening if you want help there. And if there's a specific concept you'd like broken down, tempo, deployment, threat projection, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about it.